ladies and gentlemen. This is Stan Houston, and I'm back. It's been quite a week, and it's only Wednesday. And these are inconvenient and maybe interesting, maybe even from time to time some inspiring ideas brought to you by me, but oftentimes they're from others. And I oftentimes try and make sure I give due credit to those people who I borrow from time to time. Hey, these are interesting times for sure, and I wanted to talk about them. And of course, what is part of the news in America today is the disappearance of a woman in Tucson, Arizona, who is the mother of a very well-known broadcast commentator called Savannah Guthrie. And her mother is 84 years old and lives in Tucson, where my wife and I lived for almost 16 years before going from Arizona to Carolina, though we say we're now from Carizona. We love both places. But that is where the story is. And so what I want to do is tell a little bit about that story in light of exactly the title you saw. Light pollution. And what's going on in Tucson, and how that might be relevant even to you and me today. That's the teaser. The program begins right now. Well, once again, we're on the second month already of 2026, and I'm continuing to remind you, remember, part of my business, a good deal of it is to helping people do things that are better, so they can have a better life, so they can have more beauty in their life, so they can be bolder and braver and brighter, so they can make their mark, so they can live successfully, learn how to use the radio, learn how to be a business leader, how to be a Jesus entrepreneur because he is the king of entrepreneurs, and then find ways to live well and share that living well with others. And I do a lot of things under that big umbrella, and the radio program is just one of many. Whatever it is you're looking for, I might be able to help you, and if I can't, I know somebody who probably can. So reach out to me, stan@witradio.net, stan@witradio.net. Now, light pollution. Very interesting, when Karen and I moved from Minnesota to Arizona, for obvious reasons, we were delighted. We visited there several times, and finally, actually, came to the point we knew exactly where we wanted to live in a wonderful adult community called Saddlebrook. It's not a gated community, but it's close. You can still, anyone can go there, but it's a very nice 55 and plus retirement community in the northwestern part of Tucson. Still right in those wonderful Catalina Mountains. And we loved it there. Now, the first thing that struck us, and we all of a sudden realized it, is that where we were, there were no streetlights. It was really dark. None. Anywhere. What's going on? Are the streetlights out? Well, it didn't take us long to find out that where we were living, there were no such thing as streetlights. They were forbidden. That's right, forbidden. In fact, there was even a rule against having too many lights on your house on the outside. Very forbidden. Yes, and it was because what Tucson had decided, since they had so many, now they literally had, of the 365 days, generally we always had a sunny day over 300 times a year. Yeah, now maybe it wasn't the whole day, but over 300 times. It was really sunrise and sunset city, and it was beautiful. The Arizona sunsets are something to behold, and particularly when they kind of shine on the mountains during the sunset and the mountains turn kind of a beautiful pink color. Obviously, we love it there. Well, here was the thinking. The sky was often so very clear that the stars were incredible. Now, those of you who know big sky country, even those of you in Montana and Wyoming, those places, you know that when you get away from the big cities and you get away from all the lights and you have kind of a big sky, it really opens up a beautiful universe of constellations to you. Well, because of that, the area around Tucson was the home to a number of observatories, stellar observatories, stargazing, universe watching, and of course, astronomy was a major hobby. In fact, I had always been interested, so my wife bought me a rather expensive and beautiful telescope. And in the community where we lived, there were a number of people, I mean many people, who actually had little stands where they kept their telescopes and were avid astronomy people. Well, because of that, they said no lights. And that was the case. And when there was no moon, it was dark because there were no lights around. Now, of course, they're going to be occasionally, and the downtown was not terribly affected by that, but a lot of the area, that was just kind of the milieu of Tucson. Well, the thing that is affecting that story that we're hearing about now is that Mrs. Guthrie lived in one of those nice areas where it's a very nice area, nice homes, but it also is not scattered together. It is not gathered together like the traditional developments where it's house, 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 house. Actually, it's scattered all over, and there's desert all over, and the houses are kind of in where you can't see them all the time because they're in the desert region. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. Now, add to that no lights. It's a possible case that somebody who wanted to do harm could easily find a way to do that and not be where they might be discovered. It might be where there would be no security lights to take a picture of them. And part of the problem was that if you did have one of those security lights, oftentimes there were so many wild animals running all around that it would just set it off all the time. So that became a problem, and people didn't like that because, the mountain lions and the javelinas and the bobcats were all around and setting off the lights. So even the security lights were not that common. And so what's going to happen? Obviously, it is a poor. It doesn't sound good about what's going to happen, but I think it did bring back, obviously, the story of Tucson and of light pollution. And maybe that, when I think about it, was a lot to be said for just being quiet, to go outside, which I did so many times, go into my backyard and just sit there. No music, sometimes a little fireplace, and just be quiet and see the stars, see the satellites go over. Obviously, you got to know some of the constellations and some of the stars and things like that. And no lights. No lights. It was good for the spirit. It was good for the soul. And I really do miss that. And that's why I encourage each and every one of us, whenever we can. You know, it's said that Jesus found a lot of his strength by just getting out of town, you know, out of the noise and out of the lights and the commotion, and obviously probably some of the crime, and just went out and was alone with God the Father and finding a way. The stories of his disciples, you know, they say, where'd he go? You know, where is he? Well, he disappears. And I think there's something about that. You know, it was actually oftentimes so dark that when you would go for a walk, and I did this quite often, you know, after dark, I would go for a walk along the streets of our little community there. But I better have a flashlight with me. And that was okay. In fact, if I didn't have a flashlight with me and have it on, and one of the security people came by, they would stop me and they would tell me to go home and get a flashlight. Because it was so dark, and if you didn't have a flashlight, there was a chance that a car might hit you, and that had happened. So having your flashlight with you was at least something that you should do and had to do. And so on my walks through, that was always carried my little red flashlight with a little red thing on the back end of it. So I kind of had a headlight and a tail light as I was walking. My friends, this is it for today, just about 12 minutes. But it is important to remember that even in those stories, and we pray that it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like there's going to be a good ending here. And who knows what crime or, even in a little place or a place like Tucson, even though it's beautiful and wonderful, it ain't paradise. The same problems and personalities and people that can make difficulty for our lives, evil and sin are even in the nicest and best places. So, there we go. And obviously you can hear that someone's calling me. So I was ready to sign off. So I say all the best and blessings to you. Someone needs to hear a word from me. And so I'm going to say blessings on you. Till next time. Bye for now. Well, the program is over, and I answered the phone, and it was somebody who I thought was somebody else. It was somebody who just wanted me to do something I didn't want to do. So I wished them a nice day and went on my way. But I do want to remind you that we are continuing to seek people who want to be guests on our program because they have inconvenient and interesting, maybe inspiring ideas. Ideas are the start of everything, and we are in the business of getting things started in motion. So we'd love to hear from you. Stan at witradio.net, Stan at witradio.net. And we are beginning to offer a series of classes and courses and personal coaching on how to be a performance radio and video star. That's right. How to use the podcasting, how to use the video casting, how to build your business and make your mark in the universe. I've had 45 plus years of being behind the microphone at least, and a lot of those also in front of the camera, so I can help you begin to become somebody who can be a master of self-expression using the radio. having your own radio program, having your own radio station, having your own television station. So reach out to me and my team. I'm Stan, and Stan at WIT Radio, WITradio.net, Stan at WITradio.net. Tell me your story and tell me how I might be helpful to you, and I'll get back to you. I promise. And now it really is the end. Blessings on you, and bye for now.